始啦，今日最後一集啦。
坐好，唔該。
好啦，我哋上一次咩話？
我要繼續上。
你要繼續上，咁我哋之後再睇下之後有啲咩相先喎。我哋玩埋最後呢一集先。
嗰度啦。
係啊，我哋今次記唔記得我哋要去到 Master Finish 嗰度啦？今次應該。
Yes sir，隊長，準備好出發。
準備好啦喎，係喎。
Hi, I'm Vince Su, founder and CEO of Press Start Academy. We're based in Hong Kong, and we're reimagining learning through playing games. We design and lead unique programs for kids aged 4 to 16 that are aligned with academic and curriculum standards and are structured around a proprietary, ever-evolving whole-person development and assessment framework that we are also developing. What you just saw at the beginning of this video was a short snippet of one of our most popular kindergarten adventure series, Food Heroes. Yes, that was a class of K2, K3 kids who, by the end of just 6 sessions, are able to talk about the 3 main macronutrients: proteins, carbohydrates, and fats, where different kinds of foods come from, and which body parts these foods are beneficial to. And as you hopefully saw, are super excited about food and nutrition concepts, plus can't wait to keep learning even in an online environment. At Press Start Academy, we're really blessed to work with such enthusiastic kids who can't wait for the next class, with schools who love to offer such fun and productive experiences for their students, and with parents who come for the fun factor but stay for the detailed skills reports and evaluations. We're super thankful to Dale and the Games for Change APAC team for inviting us to share just a little bit about how we create our learning experiences. And I'm super excited to show you all some examples of our work over the next 8 to 10 minutes. So let's get the show going. Press start to begin. The dictionary definition of agency is the capacity, condition, or state of acting or exerting power. In simple terms, it's how in control you feel of your destiny. Student agency is that holy grail in education that all educators strive towards, just like player agency is what game designers strive towards. Why? It's simple. We want our students, our players, to feel invested, immersed, and engaged in their experiences. And the best way to do that is to make them the protagonist. And in a non-one-to-one setting, that's not going to be easy. Let's take a look at the 3 keys to player agency. And for the rest of our discussion today, we're just going to refer to player agency because when you're designing game experiences for your students like we are, you're really designing games for players. So, best to approach learning design like game design. Number 1, the player has control over their character's decision. In a role-playing adventure, we want to decide what our character does next, who they talk to next, where they travel to next, who they fight next, how they'll take their opponents down next. We want to feel that sense of control, that the world is our oyster, that it's really ourselves who's in the story. It's a sense of adventure that we look for. But how do we further create that feedback loop? By ensuring that those decisions have consequences in the game world. We want to know that this awesome item in this treasure chest that we spent so much time searching for is going to be an epic upgrade to our arsenal. We want to know that rescuing another character is going to help them, or ourselves, or perhaps even both, in the form of stats bonuses, an addition to our party, or just good word of mouth for the rest of the game. We want to know that successfully helping a village defend itself against tyrannical forces is going to send a message to those who are afraid of challenging the enemy and recruit allies to our cause. It's the payoff that we seek. And how do we tie these 2 points together? By giving the player enough information to anticipate what those consequences might be before making them. Simply put, that's level design. We want to learn how the game mechanics are going to work, how the story is going to move forward, how the game world is going to respond to even the most minute of decisions, how we should be processing information ourselves. It's information flow, pacing, a sense of progression that we want to have. If this sounds like we take a lot of inspiration from classic tabletop role-playing games like Dungeons & Dragons, and more modern titles like Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic and The Outer Worlds, you're absolutely right. There is a reason our company logo is built on the D20, the icosahedron, the 20-sided die that drives the core mechanics underpinning these experiences. Our motto is build fun first, then build everything else around it. Creating an environment where learners feel empowered to and want to take charge of their learning journeys requires intentionally designing for engagement, accessibility, and progression. Let's take a look at some examples from our programs that will hopefully illustrate these 3 points in more detail. At the top of today's video, we shared a snippet from Food Heroes, our kindergarten curriculum on food and nutrition. To us, the biggest challenge for our youngest age range is finding a balance between fun, story, and learning. The good thing is that they're actually all linked together. Yes, kids at a younger age are very easily attracted and distracted by the next fun activity. That's why, as many of us will know, it's almost essential to change activities and topics around once every 10 minutes, which gives us about 4 to 5 different kinds of formats and activities within an hour-long session. Because of course, we also have to plan for opening and closing. So in a nutshell, we open with some food-themed superhero training at the beginning of each class. Then we alternate between story, activities, and games, with each session set in a different mini-level, focusing on different topics, game mechanics, and non-player characters, NPCs. The story then is that important aspect that ties in all of the fun and brings it along a coherent narrative. There's meaning to us food heroes going back in time to help our panda protagonist on a food-themed quest. There's context to exploring a long-lost island and helping its inhabitants on side quests. There's payoff at the end, because the clues that the NPCs give us lead us to finding the elusive Master Phoenix. And because we've built the fun, it becomes easy to build the learning. We are helped along the main quest by our side quests, and all the side quests involve us having to practice things we've been taught at the Food Heroes HQ. And the main challenge at the end of the adventure, the challenges thrown at us by Master Phoenix to prove that we're worthy, becomes the perfect platform for our kids to show what they've learned, without them even knowing. We had a parent message us saying that their son couldn't make a session because of an interview he had to do with an elementary school. He still showed up anyway, because he insisted to his parents that he wouldn't miss an online class for an interview. A certified engaged food hero right there. A story-driven environment is also sometimes not the most easily accessible. Not all kids are comfortable putting on their creative hat, thinking outside the box, creating something out of their comfort zone, especially in their non-native language. But we've all gone on different learning curves, so we already have the best reference we need. Tutorial levels in big, beefy games. Yes, tutorials teach us about scaffolding. In previous installments of our junior writing adventures, English as a second language program for underprivileged local public schools, we found that asking our students to write a story from scratch, complete with characters and plot, was a big challenge, even with prompts at every step along the way. So as we had to move it online, we decided to also rework our entire approach and make the process of creative writing accessible. So this is a digital board we created on Google Slides to teach the concept of setting, together with a few moving parts: movable characters, dice in each student's at-home learning pack, a question bank on the back end, and an evolving story slide on a second computer. Isabel, what did you roll and who would you like to move? Oh, we've landed on the crystal token. Let's see, how many crystals did you see in the cave? Awesome, thank you. With the help of all of these pre-created assets, we're able to loop in every single student as a collective protagonist to help us build out a story together with just simple contributions. And And after the characters have arrived at the exit of the cave, voila, we have a story of the cave. We've taught the creative writing concept of setting, where a story is set, and they've already gone ahead and created one together. And as they read the story we've put together on the fly, their faces light up. In one of our classes, a student even held up a drawing of a cave at the end. We didn't ask him to. He simply enjoyed the story and loved seeing his ideas so much that he just did it himself. It was accessible to him. What does a protagonist need? A story that comes with character development and a sense of forward momentum. Something to aim for and ultimately achieve. That's progression. And a sense of progression is exciting, immersive, and most importantly, personal. In Adventures in Storytelling with Dungeons & Dragons, the first thing we ask our kids to do is to create their own characters. Backstories, abilities, inspirations, in a structure we've pre-created, of course. Before they understand the game, they understand their characters. Then after going through the game mechanics, we dive right into their first encounter. It's usually set at a tavern, that quintessential beginning of any good fantasy story. And it usually includes a fight at the bar, so our kids get that fighting out of their system early on. And we get to introduce simple combat mechanics. What do they do next? Well, since they enjoyed their fight so much, they've got to write about it using sensory details and other descriptive writing techniques. And since they enjoyed their fight so much, they're going to keep imagining how awesome they were in the fight and crank out a short piece in no time. And since they enjoyed their fight so much, they're going to ask to write more because they want to show off just how badass they were in the fight. Rinse and repeat across the rest of the entire adventure. They receive their quests, journey through harsh landscapes, encounter mysterious characters, solve challenging puzzles, and they write more and more, using more and more difficult writing techniques. Kids asking for more writing work in a writing class and subconsciously improving their writing, that progress bar continues to fill up until the mission is accomplished. You may have noticed that all three examples we mentioned just now were online programs. Most of our curriculum is designed to be live, in person, and analog. I think it's safe to say that it's not just our team that thrives in these kinds of environments, but that most learners prefer it too. And I know that most educators and parents definitely do. So why did we choose examples from our online programs? Because if we can design for player agency, even in a group setting, if we can design for engagement, accessibility, and progression, even in a virtual setting, then that means we can vastly expand beyond our traditional boundaries and create fun-first learning experiences, even in less than ideal circumstances. And that means it's definitely doable in most physical classroom environments. And we haven't forgotten about engagement, accessibility, and progression on the educator's side either. That's why we use simple, readily available tools like the Google Suite, Zoom, other free-to-use platforms, even for our virtual programs. It makes life easier for those delivering these experiences to learners, so the focus can always be on fun first. We often get asked, how can I start designing curriculum like this too? How do I know whether it works for our students? How do I strike a balance between having fun and being productive? Our answer is simple. We're designing for players. Think of your favorite games and take inspiration from them. Not a gamer? Think of your favorite movies, stories, books, TV shows. Take inspiration from them. Are you designing something you'd enjoy? If not, why not? In terms of being productive, we never take our eyes off our learning objectives. If our kids are asking for more homework, asking to start class early, asking to continue class and not wait for next week, while showing their progress and development during class, we'll know. You'll know. They'll know. You're the protagonist, you know what to do next. So that's about it for our time today. I know we're an esteemed company here, especially with experienced teachers in the audience. And what we'd love more than anything is to also learn from your experience and get your feedback on our ideas. Of course, we'd be so happy too if you managed to also take something out of our presentation today. Either way, we'd love to hear from you at hello@pressstartacademy.com. That's Press Start with 3 S's. Thanks again to Games for Change APAC for having us. We look forward to working with you all to imagine a future where fun finally comes first. See you soon.